In an election this close, that the voters that could decide this race are the same voters who didn't make a decision in the last election. According to the last three NBC News national polls, Donald Trump does have a 10-point advantage among voters who did not cast a ballot in the 2020 midterms or in 2022. In our latest installment of the NBC News Deciders Focus Group, produced in collaboration with Engagious and Syracuse University and Sago, we spoke to 12 voters in battleground states who sat out the 2020 election but plan to vote this time around. The majority of these voters say that they are leaning toward Donald Trump for one simple reason: the economy. Here's a little bit of that discussion on the issue of the economy.
If Harris came to you and asked, "What do I need to do to change your mind and vote for me?" what would you tell her?
You gotta tell me what you're actually campaigning for. What are your policies? I don't need to know that you were raised in a middle-class family. I need to know what you plan on doing with the economy. What's your plan for the border? What's your plan for everything? I need to know what your stance is, not, about you.
I'd ask her where she's been for the last 3.5 years.
If Trump came to you and he asked, "What do I need to do to change your mind and vote for me?" what would you go tell him?
I need you to understand the middle class struggle, the lower class struggle. I don't know much about his upbringing, but I feel like he could just lend a better ear and maybe understands what the rest of us have gone through just because he hasn't been there.
For more now, I'm joined by Margaret Talev, who's the director of Syracuse University's Institute for Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship. So, Margaret, simple question here. What's changed between 2020 and 2024 to convince these voters that they need to actually get out and cast a ballot?
Right. It's so interesting, and it's a good reminder that either undecided voters or voters who don't vote in every election are not a monolith. They have different reasons. We heard from a couple of these voters that they had COVID or were sick last time around. One guy was moving. They literally couldn't get to the polls on the day they were supposed to vote, didn't make plans in advance. For others, they just didn't think the stakes were as high last time around. They think the stakes are higher this time. One voter, really, really interesting, said when push comes to shove, she's not sure that she's actually going to vote because she's more worried about either making the wrong choice. I guess you only find out after the fact if you think it was the wrong choice, or that people will be angry with her if she voted a way they disagree with. And we asked, well, do you think, won't people be angry with you if you didn't vote? Right. And it was the most important election ever. And she said, not as angry as I think people will be if I make a choice they disagree with. So there's a lot of reasons.
She also doesn't have to tell them, right?
Yeah. There's that, yes.
And I do want to play for you a revealing exchange between the moderator, Rich, that he had with a woman named Zaire. This is a little long, but it's worth it. Just listen to how she's leaning.
So which way are you leaning?
I'm leaning... Oh, Lord have mercy. It makes me nauseous, honestly. Like, talking and thinking about it, it really makes me physically sick, to be honest. Because I'm leaning towards protecting my rights, my body, my daughter's body, women's reproductive rights, especially in the Black community, is something that it should be taken very seriously. I would say I'm more 60-40. Trump still has 40 because in my community, during the Trump administration, my close community, we had more money in our households than some of them had ever seen in their entire lives. And that spoke volumes.
So just so I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So the case for Trump is the economy. The case for Harris is women's reproductive rights. Is that basically the bottom line that I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, the women's reproductive rights is just a peg or two higher than the economic concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's the theory of the case, isn't it, right now? That's the two arguments kind of clashing and really could be the deciding force in the election, right?
But there was an extraordinary moment in this focus group, and let me tell you what it was. You're right. This is exactly it. Trump's strongest argument is you had more money in your pocket when I was president, and it's their fault. and if you elect me again, I'll give you more money. I mean, who knows if that's true, but that's the argument. A lot of people are buying it. Harris's biggest strength is clearly her stance as a supporter of abortion rights, reproductive rights, people's right to make decisions about their own bodies, especially with women. That resonates. The question is, if it's rock, paper, scissors, which one is more important to people? We heard from this voter that she's leaning towards Harris because of abortion rights. But when a voter in this focus group found out that, or sort of realized, well, abortion's legal in my state, and former President Trump has said he's turning it up to the states. It's up to each state to decide. Upon concluding that her own rights exist in her state, she was like, you know what? I think I'm with Trump now.
Yeah.
We literally saw the vote shift before our very eyes, and it was a jaw-dropping moment for everybody watching those focus groups and behind the scenes, the NBC reporters and me and our focus group moderator, because the idea is people really are motivated right now, at least these swingable voters, by money, the memory of money in their pocket and their own rights, not the sisterhood's rights.
Right.
That's not true for all voters. There are some women who are either have already made up their minds and for whom abortion is a paramount issue. But for these voters that are on the fence and juggling between money in my pocket or the theoretical right to make a reproductive choices for myself, as long as they are taken care of, what that panel showed is that may be enough for them. So it's really, really interesting.
Okay, Margaret Talev, very revealing focus group as always. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.